But we begin with the big story of the week, the high-stakes showdown between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. The debate far calmer than the first one between the two rivals 4 years ago, but it did not go without fireworks, the two throwing personal attacks at each other while sparring over multiple issues, including foreign policy, the economy, abortion, and immigration. President Joe Biden appeared to struggle with his answers at times, leaving many even within his party concerned with his performance. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump's chief criticisms were dodging some questions and repeating falsehoods heard on the campaign trail. Here's some of their exchange on immigration.
There are 40% fewer people coming across the border legally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open.
So, Senator Thomas, I'm going to let you start this discussion. Just watching that debate last night, are you concerned about President Biden's overall performance?
Well, buddy, I will tell you, as an elected official, you always have to maintain credibility with your constituents. And President Biden had a bad performance. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We all saw what happened. It raised a lot of questions and concerns with everyone. It was not a good performance at all. But I will tell you this, going back to Thursday night and Friday, what people are really talking about was the real outcome of that debate is the fact that people are saying we need to look at other candidates. There's no one's rushing to support President Trump, and for good reason. You've got a man who, one, was convicted in a court of law for sexually assaulting women, convicted in a court of law for defrauding millions of dollars from individuals, was convicted recently as a felon, but most importantly, led an insurrection against the United States. Clearly, his record is one of a man of extreme immorality and truly unfit for presidency. So while all the discussion has been there's been some discussion about President Biden, and rightfully so, no one is saying we now need to elect President Trump.
Senator Tichenor, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think it's really obvious and interesting that as the Democrats are saying Trump is a true threat to democracy, they're so quick to throw everything aside and bring in another candidate after their elected candidate does a terrible performance and a terrible job on television in the first debate. We've seen over the last 4 years the terrible job he's done. We have a completely open border. We have women being raped, girls being raped and strangled. Just last week, a 12-year-old that was murdered by 2 immigrants that were in the country illegally, a 37-year-old mother of 5 who was also raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant. These are things that weren't happening on a regular basis 4 years ago, and now they're happening almost every time you flip on the news. And that's an issue to protect our citizenry, to protect the citizens of the United States. It's absolutely unbelievable that we're now ignoring this fact after the debate, that we have such a wide open border and we are endangering our citizens. And now we're just looking at, well, he did really bad. He stumbled on his words. He's cognitively in decline, clearly, and has been. Let's just replace him. But to say that that is the threat to democracy, that Trump is the threat to democracy, is laughable now that they're willing to throw it aside.
Did you want to jump in there?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, President Biden has a much stronger record on border control and border security than President Trump ever had. He's enacted executive orders, wanted to adopt a immigration bill that had a bipartisan support. Tom Cotton from Arkansas was leading the way on that. What happened? The House Republicans stepped in and said, no, we don't want this very well thought out, very rational approach to immigration. The House Republicans just squashed it. So when we talk about why we don't have even better security, just look at the House Republicans and the Republican Party. Don't look at President Biden, because he was ready to sign the bill that was a bipartisan effort out of the Senate.
Senator Thomas, you cannot leave the border open for 3 years during a presidential election come in the last few months before we have a vote and try to work some type of a deal. He fought against Governor Abbott in Texas. He fought against them trying to close the border. He had court orders to close the border, or to open the border, when Abbott was trying to close it. He has been advocating for an open border since he came into presidency. We had a border wall that was under construction. He stopped that. Biden stopped that.
Senator Tichenor, I don't think you can't deny, you haven't denied, that there was this bipartisan effort just last year. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point, and I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk.
Got about 30 more seconds.
Let me finish my point. You can't deny there was this bipartisan effort that had been worked out by a group of Republican and Democratic senators. Senator Republican Tom Cotton of Arkansas was leading the way to be ready to have this bill passed, and your Republican Party
We've got about
in the
15
House
seconds left.
squashed that.
So you're going to fight for the border to be open. You have Biden fighting for it to be open so that he can make a deal. So let's flood, have an intrusion on our southern border, an invasion on our southern border, and then at the last minute, then he wants to work a deal. That's on him.
We'll have to let that be the last word on it, but I'm sure we could go for hours on this particular discussion. It'll be something we talk about a lot on the way to November.